These are my top hiring tips for remote cleaning companies. So arguably recruitment is the hardest thing about scaling a business in this industry. Essentially you're entrusting your staff with your brand, you're entrusting them with dealing with clients and your reputation. And if you're running a remote cleaning business without a physical office, and you may not even physically be there, it can be difficult to know where to start. And that is what I'm going to cover off in today's video. I'm going to cover my 4-step process to recruit fantastic cleaners for your remote cleaning business. So let's jump straight into it. So before I jump into the step-by-step process, making mistakes at this stage of recruitment is very, very common. Some of the most common things I see are people, making rush recruits, recruiting people that aren't suitable for their business because they just can't find anyone. Maybe they tolerate poor service, poor quality cleaning. Maybe they tolerate bad attitude. Maybe they tolerate people not turning up on time. This all boils down to your recruitment process. Essentially, if you're not recruiting enough people, if you're not getting enough applicants, if you're not interviewing enough people, you're not going to have enough new cleaners coming into your business so that you can replace people that aren't up to scratch. And that's all about having an embedded system, an embedded process in your recruitment process. So let's jump on to step 1. So step 1 is to build a pre-screening funnel. So when we talk about this step, essentially what we're trying to do is, if we create an advert on one of these recruitment websites like Indeed, or it could be Facebook, or wherever it is, you'll get lots of people seeing your advert. If your advert is offers an attractive package, pay and other things around the job description, you'll probably get lots of people interested, and you'll get people applying to your business. But what this step does is pre-screens out a lot of the unsuitable candidates, because the reality is if you are manually reviewing every single application, you in theory you could spend hours and hours every day going through these applications, and as I'll talk about later on in the video, coming across great cleaners, it doesn't happen very often. So you can spend a lot of time at the beginning wasting your time going through these unsuitable candidates. So what you need to be doing with your pre-screening funnel is essentially just creating a simple Google form, or whatever form that you would use, having that on your recruitment page on your website, and essentially asking that applicant to answer a series of questions. And if they answer those questions in the right way, then you would then manually get involved. You would review the application. You'd probably invite them to an interview. So the important bit here is you want the form and the pre-selected fields to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So things to ask would be, what hours are you available each week? Which days of the week and times of the day? Do these hours change from week to week? Which locations can you serve? How much cleaning experience do you have? Do you have house cleaning experience? Do you have commercial cleaning experience? These are the types of questions that you can ask in a form. And as they come through, what you can do is, if certain questions aren't answered correctly, so for us, we need people to have at least 6 months house cleaning experience for us to interview them. If they're not answering those questions in the right way, you can automatically filter them out of the process. So you don't need to be going through CVs and going back and forth with particular candidates over email to ask them about the experience. You can use a simple embedded form on your website to do that first round of filtering for you. Once you have that in place, then it's probably a good point for you to start getting involved. Start spending your time. You've got a pool of candidates here now. You're probably going to be looking to interview them. And before we go into step 2, which is talking about the interview stage, it's really important that I flag this particular point. So, when I was at the very early stages of building my own cleaning business, I thought the experience of the cleaners was by far the most important thing. And I remember very early on in my business, I found a candidate that had lots of 5-star hotel experience. She had been a supervisor, so it means she'd be managing teams within those hotels. I thought she'd probably have a great standard of service, be able to manage people. I thought she'd be a fantastic candidate. In actual fact, what I found was that particular cleaner wasn't the ideal person for my business. Sure, she can clean at a really good standard. Sure, she knew how to clean a kitchen, worked out what products to use, but her attitude was really, really poor. She thought that she was always right. If we shared any negative feedback from her with her from her other clients, she would completely disregard it, and it just became a point that as the months progressed, it just became more painful to deal with her. Ultimately, you want in your business, as you grow, you want to have people that you enjoy working with, and she just became one of those people that it was just not enjoyable managing. So over the years, what I found was that hiring for attitude was actually more important than for experience. So, I would always take someone with a really sunny, optimistic attitude, someone who was always on time, someone who was always wanting to please their clients and take on feedback and improve, but with maybe less experience over someone with a lot more experience, but with a really poor level of attitude. Because what you find is that if people have a good attitude, they will be willing to learn from their mistakes, they'll be willing to take on good feedback, and their service levels will just improve with time. And so it's these types of people that we want to spend more of our time working with and get rid of the people with a poor attitude. So this is really important as we go to step 2 of the process, which is the interview stage. So the way that I would recommend remote cleaning business owners running recruitment is to do a 2-stage process. So first of all, we get people on a very quick telephone call, and then secondly, we'll get them on a Zoom call. So firstly, the telephone call. So this is a really, really quick call. It can be 10-15 minutes long, and the way that I advise people going through this process is essentially, someone fills out an application form, you've gone through the form, they tick all the boxes, and now you want to interview them to a telephone interview. So our process would be, we would send them our Calendly link. So Calendly is a calendar software that basically allows people to book in certain slots within your calendar. So let's say you said, okay, I can take interviews Monday through Friday after 2 p.m. You could send that candidate your link, your Calendly link, and then they could go in there, select the time that works for them, and then book the interview there and then. So the way that we do it is we also, once the booking comes through, we get those candidates to call us rather than us to call the interviewees. Because what you'll find is that, even though someone books in for an interview, you'll find that a lot of people just don't simply pick up the call, which, when I was starting my business, I thought was completely crazy, but that's actually very, very common. So by putting the onus on the candidate to call you, it means that you can save a lot of time. So, let's say you had 10 interviews booked, and then you made 10 calls, but maybe only 6 picked up. Then those 4 calls that didn't go through are, a complete waste of your time. And you add that up over the days, over the weeks, over the months, and you'll find that there's an awful lot of time wasted there. So we get the candidate to call us. The other thing that we keep a very close eye on is that when they call, we require that our cleaners are on time. If they can't call us back at the specific start time of the interview, it's probably going to be unlikely that they're going to turn up to clients' houses at the right time. There's many, many more variables that can go wrong there. So one of the key things that we're doing in the telephone interview stage is really to see, can they go through instructions? Can they call us at the right time? If a candidate is calling 10 minutes late, 20 minutes late, or wants to reschedule 2 minutes before a call, these are all red flags. These would all be candidates that would then get filtered out of the process. But in the course, assuming that candidate calls us at the right time, really what we're trying to do is just to get a very quick feel of, firstly, their attitude and their English speaking capability. Because There are companies out there that don't require their cleaners to speak, very good English. For us, it's really important because, we need them to be able to communicate with their clients, build some sort of relationship. If the client asks them for particular things to do differently, they need to understand that and need to action it. If we are on the phone sharing instructions with them, they need to be able to understand it. And obviously, if their English language ability is not sufficiently high to understand these instructions, it's very, very difficult to communicate with them in this way. So we need to make sure that on that quick phone call that they can communicate fluently in English, able to understand questions, be able to answer those questions. And really the way that we do it is that we'll simply just go through the job spec and essentially just double check that all the things that we talk about in the job description, as well as those in the lead form, are those that work for us and work for the candidate. So if a cleaner says, yes, I'm willing to work in this particular area around town or the city, we just ask them that. We'll ask them about their experience. What experience do you have? And talk through some of these open-ended questions to make sure that they are, answering them in the right way. So we are picking up their promptness with regards to calling us at the right time. We're picking up their attitude, and we're picking up their language ability. If we get through all those points, we will then say at the end of the phone call, it should be a case of saying, yes, we want to take this candidate forward, or no. If it's any in between, any ambiguity, we wouldn't take them forward. So at the end of that call, if we like the sound of the candidate, we'll tell the candidate, we'll arrange a subsequent Zoom call with you. We'll be in touch over email. We'll get you to book in as well. And the reason why we have this sort of two-stage approach is that, again, we want to make sure if someone books in for that Zoom call, do they turn up on time? We want to make sure that them turning up on the first call wasn't just a fluke. We want to make sure that they turn up on time for both calls. So if they turn up 10-15 minutes late for that Zoom call, that's a red flag. We would filter them out of the process. And again, what you might find is that candidates might arrange that first interview, and for whatever reason they decide, okay, I don't really want to go ahead with this process, or maybe I don't want to get this particular job, or maybe, I'm going to move out of town, I'm going to try something different. It just gives the candidate the opportunity to filter themselves out of the system. So if we send them our Calendly link to book a Zoom call and they don't book in, that's absolutely fine with us. We don't want to be following up with someone who doesn't really, really want the job. So again, let's assume that someone jumps on the Zoom call and they're on time, they have that good manner. Really what we're trying to do with this Zoom call is just to see what that person is like face to face. As we know, running a remote cleaning business, we probably won't be able to interview people face to face. We may be outside of our locations, or maybe our VAs are running interviews and they're based in other countries. So we can use Zoom calls to see what that person is like on a face-to-face. Because ultimately, once the cleaner is going into the client's property, this is what the client's going to see. We need to make sure, do they look presentable? We need to make sure that, do they have a nice manner? Certain things that you can pick up on a Zoom call that you can't pick up on a telephone call. So this two-stage approach is really, really important during this interview phase. Once we get through those 2 points, then hopefully you will have some candidates that you think, yes, these are candidates that we really want, that we like. We want to give them a try, and that's when we move on to the next step. So if you're finding the content helpful so far, please like and subscribe. It really, really helps me. We work with cleaning companies all around the world, helping them to grow as well. So I'll leave a link in the description for those of you that are interested. So let's jump on to step 3, and this is the trial clean stage. So once we have someone that we want to take forward, we would then send them a contract. Again, it would be over email, and they would sign the contract. And basically this just sort of solidifies that they want to get started with us, we want to get started with them, and then we would book them in for that first trial clean. So what the trial clean is it's a one-off job. There's a couple of ways that we can do this. So it's a one-off job. The cleaner will get paid their rate. We can either, if you are physically in your location, the way that I used to do it, I would send new cleaners to my apartment, and we would get them to clean. Pay them for the time. Again, we're picking up, are they on time? We're picking up their manner, and then we're also seeing the quality of their cleaning as well. So, if you are physically in the location that you're trying to target, then that's great. If you are in another city, that's not a problem. You might have friends or family in that city. Most people usually have some sort of connection with that particular location that they're targeting. So if you do have those people, fantastic. If you don't, then that's fine. What we can do is we would book that cleaner in for a one-off client job. So this is a particular client that's booked a one-off service, a one-off service as opposed to a recurring client, because as I talk about on the channel, the recurring clients are the really, really super valuable clients in the business. So we would send them to a one-off client job and just see how they get on. We would follow up with the clients, we would give them a call and find out how they did. If it's a 5-star out of 5-star, we would continue to send, those, that new cleaner one-off jobs, usually over a period of, a couple of weeks. And then once if they're getting good feedback, we would then slowly introduce some recurring clients for them as well. So this works really, really well, because if you're upfront with that new cleaner and you tell them, we're going to give you a trial job, see how you get on, you're under no obligation to continue to working for them. You can say to them, this is a paid for job, we just want to see how you get on. If you get on well, we'll keep giving you more work. If it doesn't work out, we'll still pay you for the job, but we probably wouldn't take you forward. So this trial clean stage is really, really important. And then moving on to point 4, once we have the cleaner doing a good job, then we need to systemize everything. And this is a really key component of growing your remote cleaning business, because what we want to try to do is, if we have a good cleaner on our books and we've got clients booking in, every single client will have different expectations, different things that they want doing, different properties, all those types of things. And this is where we need to try to systemize everything, because if we're doing a bespoke service for everyone, that gives us a high potential for things to get missed, clients to be unhappy, complaints to go through. So we want to try to systemize everything. And this is where the checklist is really, really important. So on your website, you want to have a standard cleaning checklist that your clients are aware of, or what is covered when they book a cleaning. And you want to share that checklist with your cleaner as well. So if your client is very clear on what is covered and your cleaner is, there shouldn't be any any things that are getting missed. The potential for unhappy clients or bad client feedback will hopefully come down. So the checklist is really the core part of systemizing everything. So once you have a steady stream of cleaners coming into your business, they're getting booked with clients, they're going through the checklist, you need to check that their client ratings are a sufficiently high level. So in my business, our cutoff level was 4.5 stars out of 5. So after every cleaning, the client would get sent an email or an SMS asking them to rate that clean. So if our cleaners were, getting an average of 4.5 out of 5, so 90%, we would say that's a really good level. That's our minimum level, and we would tell our cleaners that you need to hit that level to continue to be given new clients. And if they're hitting that level, they would get new one-off jobs, new recurring jobs. If they would ever dip below that 4.5, they would stop getting new clients. They'd keep their existing clients, but they wouldn't be able to add any new ones on until their rating for the last 30 days was back up over 4.5 out of 5. So this is the way that we maintain the quality of our remote cleaning business as we scaled. We're using contractors, so we can't train them. So this is why the rating system is so important. But this is, my process really of how to scale your recruitment and grow your business, bringing in high quality cleaners. And it really, really works well for your remote cleaning business. So in this next video, I'm going to look at the other side. If you've got enough recruits coming in and you've got good capacity, this is when you really need to step your foot down on the accelerator with regards to your marketing. So in this next video, I'll talk about, the key things that I would tell you to look at for growing your cleaning business, your remote cleaning business with marketing, some of the key marketing channels and some of the most effective ways to invest your marketing budget. So I'll see you on the next one.